Hello, Blitz fans of all ages. It's me, Plumcastle, here with what is, in my opinion, the best tank to run in realistic mode. Now, I wasn't planning to make a best tank for this mode. However, playing around, I did find that there was one tank that did kind of stick out over the rest, and I'll show you why. So with that, let's look at the ISU 152. This is my top pick for realistic mode. Again, this is just my own personal opinion. If you have a different one, feel free to write them down in the comments so that others can also learn what you like in the game, because maybe some people don't have the ISU, and if they see your recommendation, they'll also have fun. So this is just my personal opinion. You can see here on the gun, I have the top gun. This is what makes the tank my favorite for this mode, this top gun. You can see here, I'm not running any provisions or equipment. I have 286 standard penetration and 90 millimeters for my HE. That is a lot. That is a ton. And if you see my APCR rounds, I can get 329 millimeters of penetration, and that's not even running the crew enhancements, which if I run the crew enhancements, and for the sake of it, let's just throw on some calibrated shells, you can now see that the penetration is actually going to go up, and should go up quite significantly. Now, standard rounds have 300 millimeters of penetration, high explosive is almost 100, and armor piercing composite rigid, I think that is 345 millimeters. I mean, that's just absolutely crazy. So with that, let's get right into the replays. So this first replay is on Naval Frontier. As we go through these two replays that I have for you, you'll see what makes this tank so strong. First of all, like I said, because of the penetration, realistic armor becomes less of a thing to worry about. You can see my comment, this gun is the only thing you need. That is because since you can, with 300 millimeters of penetration, or even the 280 that I was running here, that is a ton of penetration, which means armor, you don't really need to worry about it. And since realistic, you can't see the armor, you don't have to aim as hard or know your armor as well. You just butter right through it. You can see here, I'm about to hit the ST1. That is a higher tier tank. Also has very decent armor. Boom, just 640. And the alpha damage for even the standard shells is absolutely amazing. And since in realistic mode you always get that, your standard alpha, it just makes it absolutely crazy. Because you can now penetrate just about anything. You don't have to work as hard to know your armor, which you should know the armor of enemy tanks. But if you don't, you just butter right through it and get 640 damage, no problem. And this is honestly one of the more accurate from the SU line. The SU 152 does not have anywhere near this kind of penetration. It also doesn't have the mobility, probably not. I don't know. I might be running the stock engine, but definitely this gun is far better on the ISU. And the top gun, or rather the stock gun that I tend to run for the SU-152, because it's the one that has the HE potential, does not have this kind of penetration. It is just a strong, broken tank. Now, of course, you do have to play it right? You still have to aim, but it is just far more accurate than the SU-152 as far as I'm concerned. The penetration, the alpha damage, it just works so well. And honestly, when I was running the engine that was just one level lower, you can see there, the Tiger was slightly angled. It didn't matter. I just went right through it. Now, one thing to balance out the tank, obviously, is you don't have a whole lot of hit points there. Just about any tank is going to be able to clear you in 2 to 3 shots. However, you can see in this game, it doesn't matter too much because I'm just coming around. You can see here, there are rare occasions where I will load APCR just to ensure the penetration. And honestly, the mantlet for your gun is, well, first of all, it's thick, but it's also it's thick and it's big. So now you can see there was a ricochet, but you can see he just bounces off my gun mantlet because it's so big and so strong. You will get a few bounces in this tank. Granted, it won't be all the time. You can see here we're going to load an APCR and finish him off. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen frequently enough that this next game that I'm going to show you is sometimes possible. So with that, let's head on over into the second replay that I have for you guys. So the second replay is on New Bay. Now, one thing before we go into this, do not play the tank like I did. I was just goofing off because it was realistic and my stats don't get affected. But the nice thing about this tank is it can sometimes, not all the time, you don't always want to do this, but occasionally you can run it semi-frontline, which is kind of what I like. I don't like sitting in the back. This tank is very good for sitting in the back, and you really don't want to push too far forward. But if you're comfortable in the tank, you can, if no one's looking, sometimes sneak in a little bit of frontline action, which is what I'm going to show here. But obviously, like I said, you don't want to do this all the time. This was a fairly rare case where I pulled off frontline play in this, but you'll see why that happened in a moment here. So obviously with realistic, I'm not concerned about spotting. It's realistic again, so I'm just rushing. I don't care about my stats. I tend to grind my tanks, or just to see what my tanks are capable of. You can see way off in the back there, I'm not sure you can see it, but over towards B side, there are some tanks moving over. So I decided to move along the bridge here because I really want to get some of those early shots. Now you're going to see an example of some penetration values for this tank in just a second. So there is I forgot the name of it. Yeah, the J Panther over there. You can see here, he's a tier 7, so really, I don't need to worry about any kind of armor considering how much penetration I have. I can just go right into him. You can see there is a Tiger 2 on the enemy team. He is stock, and that is going to hurt him a little bit. My team decides to get a little bit in the way here, but oddly enough, it does not actually matter, and I do get a ton of damage, which you will see in the end here. So I'm pushing up. This is where you don't really want to be driving your ISU. You don't want to be doing it front line here like I am with this Tiger. And you can see I'm about to come over here. I'm looking at the RHM. There's the stock Tiger. Now, I know not to rush my shot here. I know I've got enough penetration. I just wait for him to turn. You can see there's another bounce on my gun mantlet, but you can see I just got through the side of this Tiger 2, no problem. There's the J Panther. He gets cleared. I'm going to try to get another shot into him. I'm going to wait till his side shows, and again, so much penetration. Now, even the enemy ISU is going to bounce me. However, I don't think he's running the top BL-10 gun like I am. You can see I'm actually blocking a little bit of damage. That is the reason I was able to live here. I don't care about getting hit at this point. I'm going to max roll for the same amount that any other roll would. Now you can see the SU-152 is actually going to bounce me. Now, of course, he is not in a very good position. I'm almost reloaded. He's backing up. He can't go anywhere, so I clear him out right there. The enemy ISU has been cleared out. The RHM is about to die, and that leaves us left with the IS-3, which, oddly enough, during realistic mode, I don't really pull out too much HE in this tank because I don't play it enough to know everything that it can HE. I know some things that it can HE, which obviously if I'm aiming at some really light tank, I'll shoot HE, but for the most part I am just shooting standard ammunition, unless in the case you'll see here I do want to get a little bit just to clear the tank. Here I will shoot normal rounds, being very careful because I know this is a high damage game. Again, another bounce, and you can see that T49 used HE. I load HE here because I want to guarantee the kill. I'm really trying to get this last kill and this damage, and there we go, we get it, leaving us with it says 366, but sometimes it goes a little bit more. We will end up with a lot of damage. A lot of damage. That was just crazy. You can see it was somewhere between 360, 366, depending on which counter it was. It was a little bit off. But there you go. 3,660 damage. That is absolutely crazy. You can see we're at the top of the team. Look at the enemy. None of them broke 700 damage. This was a better game, of course. I mean, what point would there be to me showing a game where I totally fail? You can, however, fail. There are some cases where you will just get flanked by light tanks, but this tank, oddly enough, is actually one that I really like. Like I said, I don't overly care for tank destroyers. However, this one has enough alpha damage, has enough penetration, and enough speed that even when you get totally bum rushed, you can still sometimes get at least 1,000 damage out before you totally get toasted. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, have fun, good luck, and happy tanking.